Hi everyone, Sandy here. Welcome to my channel. Today I have a tutorial for you on this steampunk album folio that I designed for Country Craft Creations using Gentleman Fleur 8x8 paper collection. This is an 8.5 by 8.5 album, and the tutorial will start shortly. For this 8.5 by 8.5 steampunk album, you're going to need at least 2 pieces of the heavyweight chipboard for your cover. I'm going to be using the brown artisan cardstock, and I'll throw in also some craft. I'm going to mix the two colors, so I'm going to use the craft artisan cardstock. You're also going to need a sheet of the score tape sheet, at least one sheet of 8.5 by 11. Of course, your adhesive, your art glitter glue. I'm going to be using what I have left of the Gentleman Fleur 8x8 paper collection, and these embellishments, the Tim Holtz gauge dials, the ephemera pack, that's the snippets from Tim Holtz, and also these last 2 quote seals, these metal seals that I have left from my last project. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll start making. I'll tell you what you need for your cover and refer you to the video on how to make a lay flat album cover. We're going to start off by making our cover for the steampunk album. Now this is going to have an 8.5 by 8.5 cover, and then we'll have 8 1/4 pages so that we can use our 8x8 papers without having to cut them down. For the album cover, I will be doing the lay flat album method, which is designed by Tamara of Country Craft Creations. She has a video on how to do that, and then I have a video on how to do this, the same method with a little bit of changes on just personal preference of what I do. So I'm going to link that down below in the description. There's also going to be up in the corner, if you'll look, a link on the screen that you can click on and go to the tutorial on how to make the lay flat cover. I'm going to give you the measurements for this project. It'll be different in the video on how to make the album cover, but you will do the same method. So I'm not going to repeat that here. I'm going to do mine off camera. But to make yours, you're going to need chipboard. This is the heavyweight chipboard. For your cover, you need 2 pieces, 8.5 by 8.5. And for your spine, you're going to need 1 piece that's 1.5 by 8.5. So those are the sizes of the chipboard. Then to wrap, you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock that are 10.5 by 10.5. What I've done is add 2 inches to the length and the width, so that you have 1 inch all the way around. And then for your spine piece, you need 3 extra inches on the sides. So to the 1.5 inch, you add 3, so that makes you need a 4.5 wide by the 10.5 high. So that is to wrap the cover and assemble it. Then for the inside support piece, for the cardstock, you need one that is 6 by 8.5. And then you're going to want 1 piece of score tape sheet, and you're going to cut that to the same size, 6 by 8.5. So I'm going to go ahead and get mine done, and join me back here once you have yours, and we'll start working on the inside of the album. Okay, so I'm back. My album cover is made. I hope that you got yours done as well. What I did is I wrapped it, the front and back cover and the spine, in the brown artisan cardstock, and that's the same for my inner piece here. And then I decided to mat it with craft. So if you want to do the matting also like this, you need 2 pieces of craft that are 8 3/8 by 8 3/8, one for the front, one for the back, and then you need one that's 1 3/8 by the 8 3/8. So I've already got those on, and I have pulled out my pattern paper that I want to use. So for the front, now this is the 8 by 8, so you don't have to cut it. And I did use the archival ink and the coffee to ink the edges, and my dauber this time because I wanted bigger areas. So I really like how this color shows up on this and blends in with the rest of it. So this is going to go right here. So you can flatten your cover down if you did the lay flat method, and you can nicely get that centered on there. So let's grab some glue, and on the back side So this one goes right here on the front. So make sure you're putting on the right direction, whichever pattern you choose. And like I said, with it laying flat like this, it helps to get it on straighter, more even, and it's so pretty. So this is going to also be a steampunk album. So I have the blimp here and these beautiful flowers. I will decide later what I'm going to add on as a decoration. So I cut a pattern piece. This was 8 by 8. So this one's 8 tall and 1 1/8 wide. So I've inked that, and I'm just looking at it to see which direction I want this to go. I want it to go that way. So let's go ahead and put the pattern paper on our spine. And line it up. Okay, burnish that down. I forgot to burnish this one. Let's do it some. Do it with your hands. That really gets it laying flat. And then the outside, the back piece here, another 8 by 8. So I love this with the pocket watch. Add that on. Okay. And center that one. Burnish it down with your hands. That makes it really nice and smooth underneath and helps to eliminate some of those bubble lines you might get. Just want to spread that out. So there's that on the cover. It looks really nice. I like that. So I'm going to open it flat now, and I'm going to put a piece here because unless I change my mind, I don't think there's going to be a hinge here. So you're probably going, what? Well, this is a folio album, so it's going to be made a little bit different. I know it's a good size, and you're like, don't waste that on just a folio, but I think you're going to like how it's going to turn out. So this piece here is 1 1/8 by 8 inches. So we're just going to center that right in there. And then I went ahead and cut the pattern piece, which is the craft is, I wrote it backwards on my notes. The craft is 1 3/8 by 8 3/8. And this piece is your 1 1/8 by 8. Hope you didn't cut that wrong. I will have it right in the guide and put it in the right order so that we don't make that mistake. Okay, I had it cut right, just wasn't saying it right. So now we center this, and that finishes up that section there really nicely. So burnish that, make sure it lays down. Okay, so now I'm ready to do some planning for my inside sections here. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to put pattern paper on first, so I'm going to work on that, and then I'll pop back in and show you what we're going to do. For this left side, we're going to make a couple of angle pockets. So what I did is I took one sheet of cardstock and I cut an 8 1/2 by 8 1/2 square, cut it at an angle from one corner to the other. And now I'm going to grab my scoreboard, and I'm going to score the short sides at 1/2 inch to make the pocket. So you don't want to score this long side. You just want to score your your short sides like this. Let's do that on both of them. Put this in. So you get your 8 1/2 point up here. Score at 1/2 inch. Turn it. Score the other side at 1/2 inch. So you have to just skip down a little bit. Then we're going to angle cut down here, just Cross where the lines intersect. Okay. And let's go ahead and fold those up and see how they look in there. Now, when you fold this up, you're going to have excess down here on the end that we're going to cut off. So where it extends right there, right along with the angle, just cut that off. Just like that. So that's one pocket. Which is going to fit like this. And then we'll do the other one the same way, except it goes on the opposite side. Okay, remember to cut the excess points off down here on the ends. And then let's line these up and see how they look. Here. And this one will go here. So this will be a pocket all the way here, and this over here. Now I want another pocket that goes straight across at the top. And I'm looking to see how deep I want that to be. So I'm going to bring it down. Let's make it 4.5. 4.5 by 8.5. So let me cut that. Okay, for the regular pocket, I think I said it wrong. It needs to be 9, not 8.5. So cut it 9 inches by 4.5. Put your 9-inch at the top. Score it at 8.5 and at 1/2. Turn it so that your 4.5's at the top and score it 1/2. Okay, so this is going to make us just a regular pocket up at the top. And so go ahead and where your lines intersect, angle cut points, and we'll burnish that and fold it up. Okay, and this is going to go at the top. So let's go ahead and line these up on the side. Put a mark, I think. So these are going to go just in, not all the way to the fold in the edge. So this one can fit right here. The top of these points. I'm going to make a pencil mark right there. That's where I want that pocket to lay. So let's go ahead and put glue on the flaps. If you're wanting to put tape, like I sometimes do on this bottom one, so things don't snag, you would put that one down first, but I'm going to go ahead and put all 3 down because I'm lining this up. Let me turn this a little bit sideways. And I'm going to center this. Make sure we're getting it straight. I'm looking at this edge over here. So it's about 1/4 inch in on each side. So we burnish sides and the bottom of the pocket. And you notice I did cut this one out of craft because I don't have as much of the brown, and I'm going to use a combination of craft and brown. So let's put this pocket on, and we're going to line it up with this pocket here. So put your glue on your back side of your flaps. Ooh, too much glue, too much glue. Spread that out some. Okay. Woo. All right. So we're going to line this up here and down at the bottom of the album. Here and here. So I did get too much glue there, so just, whoops. Bring this in. I'm going to line it up with this other pocket right there, that point, and then here. So wipe up some glue here. Okay, so we burnish that. And then this pocket's going to fit lined up with the craft pocket and on top of this one. Let's see if I can get less glue so I don't have as much mess. Okay. It's very warm here in Texas today. In fact, it's downright hot. The humidity is awful. It may be pushing nearly 95 or 100 with the heat index, and the thermostat on our air conditioner went out, and I'm having to wait for the repair guy. So it's a little warm in here. It's okay when I turn the fans on, but I don't like fans, you know, roaring when I'm doing a recording. So I'm going to stick these down, and that's why the glue comes out so quick. It's fast. It's extra warm. Not normally that warm. Okay. So let me get a cloth here and wipe some up. Luckily for me, it dries clear. I think that'll be okay there where it shows. It does show on the darker cardstock more when it oozes out too much. But anyway, so now we have a pocket here, here, and up at the top. Next, we're going to add some patterned paper. Okay, so I've got the angle pockets in and the other top pocket, and I think I did get it a little crooked. I measured this is a little lower down. But that's okay. I'm going to go with it. I'm not going to rip anything up. Sometimes that just happens, and we go with it. We add some kind of element or something, or adjust something else to make it look okay. My excuse is that it's hot here, and my air conditioner still isn't fixed, and I'm on day 2. And it's not too bad this morning, so I'm going to get a little crafting time in before it gets unbearable. Since my craft room's upstairs, it can get pretty warm. But anyway, we're not going to let that stop us 100%, and I'm still hoping they're supposed to come today and fix or replace the thermostat, so then I'll be good to go. So anyway, what I've got going on here, I'm going to do some adding patterned paper, and I'm going to mat. I have the brown angle pockets, and I wanted craft on that. I don't know if it's going to make much difference. It's just a look I wanted to see how it was. So this, the craft square cardstock, I cut mine out at a 7 1/4, 7 1/4 by 7 1/4, an angle cut. So that gives me that. And then I did a square that is of the patterned paper. Okay, yay. I normally cut out a phone ringing on my videos, but that one was the air conditioner people, and they're on their way. So I may have to stop when they get here. But anyhow, the patterned one is a square that is 6 7/8 by 6 7/8, and I angle cut that. And of course I inked it, and I'm using the bicycle, and I cut him in half. Ouch! So anyway, that goes there. Now, on this pocket here, I cut a brown cardstock mat that is, let's see, 7 3/4 by 4 1/4, and then the pattern piece is going to be, should have had this wrote down, 7 3/8 by thereabouts by 4. So that's going to go in that. And then above that, I cut a craft piece that is These are all from scraps, so whatever you've got, pretty much make sure it's the right length though. 7 3/4 by 1 1/2. So this one became the brown 7 and a little over 7 1/2. Actually 7 5/8 by 1 5/8, and then the pattern piece is 7 3/8. Whoops, 7 1/2. Sorry, by 1. So let's glue all this together, and then we'll get this matted, and then we'll work on our pages. Our pages are going to be on this section of the album, folio album, and we'll get that done as well. So let me go ahead and glue all this together, and then we'll put it over there. So I'm going to watch for my air conditioner crew to come. Hope that they can fix it today. So keep your fingers crossed. Of course, by the time you watch this video, hopefully everything will be working just fine. So I'm going to layer this, center it. Whoops. Scoot it over. Okay, burnish that down. Then let's move some of this out of the way. And we put our pattern piece on. This is just a scrap that I had from my other project, and I just grabbed it and cut it down to fit. So it's going to go right there. Okay, burnish that down. So that's going to go in the upper part up there. Then this piece already has the craft there, so we only needed the brown mat. And I have my window open, so you hear a lot of outdoor tools and activities going on out there in the neighborhood. So let's grab this one. We put this triangle on this piece. Okay, and this last one matted. It's just so much easier to mat it before it's actually put in the book, I think, especially with one designed this way. Of course, sometimes it requires a little bit of planning ahead, but all of these designs in this paper collection, this Gentleman Fleur by Country Craft Creations, it just all goes together really well. The colors are all coordinating, you know, the browns and tones. And this ink that I'm using, this coffee ink, it just really works well. It just really, it's like the camera picked up the colors of this to go with this ink pad. I don't know, but it's just really, really pretty with it. So I like how that turns out. So let's bring this in and let's see about getting this done. Let's start up here at the top, I think. And I'm going to dry fit it, see if everything kind of slides in there the way it's supposed to. I think it's going to go. Yeah, you just have to wiggle it around. So I'm going to put my ink on the, my glue, not my ink, but my glue on the back side of this piece. Then I'm going to have to work it in, and it can get a little a little messy. I'm going to hold it up the best I can. There we go. That worked okay. And line it up with the top edge of my album cover. Let me burnish that in. Okay, and then this piece is going to slide into this section. Okay. I'm trying to get this part all done before I have to turn the camera off when the air conditioner technicians get here. So let's slide this in, see what we can accomplish. Line it up now so that we have a nice, pretty even border. There we go. Okay, wipe off any excess glue. I don't know what the neighbors are working on. It's kind of a weird sound. It's not our shop. Okay. Now, these, of course, go here. Oh, I'm loving how this is the layer look effect is. Now it's extra paper, so if you don't want to layer, you don't have to. It's just depending on if that's the look you're going for or not. So bring this in like that. So we got the brown and the craft going on. Goodness, too much glue. Of course, did I do this wrong? Oh, yeah, he's going to be sideways. That's not going to work. Fiddly dee. You know what? I'm going to go with it, and then I will probably put a flower here. So part of him's going to be gone. Hey, that's the way it is in crafting. I didn't pay attention to that. So it should have been just a regular floral piece here and not an image like that. But I goofed, and I apologize. But you know what? I'm going to go with it. Yeah, I think it's going to look okay. So I've got to get this down in here. Oh, there we go. And lift it up and line it up. And there we go. So yeah, that looks kind of funny that way. But like I said, I will put a flower or gear or, you know, something there. It'll be fine when we all get said and done. Okay, so there's our pockets like that. So tags, you know, can go in and there and up here. So I really like how that looks. And next I'm going to plan the pages over here. And we'll get those all cut and ready to go. For the pages, I have cut 4 of the brown artisan cardstock, and you want these to be 8 1/4 by 8 3/4. I've already scored and folded this one. So let's do these other 3 real quick. Put your 8 3/4 in at the top and score it a 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch. And do that on all 4 of these pages. So make sure it's your 8 3/4 that's at the top. Score it a 1/2 inch. Oops. Make sure I've got that good right there. And 3/4 of an inch. And the last one, put your 3/4, 8 3/4 in at the top. Score it a 1/2 inch. And 3/4. Oh, and good news, I forgot to share. The air conditioner's fixed. It was an $89 service call. It was just a little fuse that had got blown out. So, though I had to wait a day and a half for the air people to come out, it's well worth it now because it's fixed and I'm nice and cool. So anyway, take these And I had them check them out again, check everything out to make sure I'm going to be okay for the rest of this hot summer, because it's going to be a hot one here in Texas. I know that already. This is just May and early May, and it's going to be hot, 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 because we haven't had much rain. Okay, so hopefully there'll be no other issues with the air conditioning. Once you've scored your pages at the 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch, you can go ahead and fold and burnish all your score lines so that you end up having a 1/2 inch attachment flap and a 1/4 inch little space or gusset. So we have all 4 of those. Then I cut one piece, a base piece that is 8 7/8. No, I'm sorry, one base piece that's 7 7/8. I didn't plan my pages to make them fit in the cover. I made them a little bit smaller. So you want your base page to be 7 7/8 by 8 1/4. 7 7/8 by 8 1/4. So there's no scoring on that because that's where we're going to add on the pages. So we take this piece here and I make sure that you're putting your page on the right direction. So this should be 8 tall and they should match up right there from one end to the other. So you're going to flatten down your attachment hinge or flap so that you don't see the 1/4 inch, okay? And then you're going to just take your glue and put that on that 1/2 inch piece. And you're going to line this up on the edge of your base piece here. So I'm lining it up right on the edge. So my little 1/4 inch space is here on the top. Make sure the fold of the 1/2 inch is along the one edge of your base section. Burnish that. Then we're going to open that up and burnish on the inside. Next, we're going to put our next page onto the page we just added on, not the base, but on the page and on the opposite side. So you flatten this down so that you only see your 1/2 inch attachment flap. Add your glue. And then you're going to place it on the edge of the page you just put down. So I'm going to show you. So make sure the fold of the 1/2 inch, so that leaves your 1/4 inch on the top. Make sure it's lined up on the front and the back. Flip it over and open it up so that you can burnish on the inside and clean up any excess glue if you have any. So this is the base. Okay, you added a page onto the left, close the page down, added a page to the right. Now you're going to add a page to the left side. So do the same thing. Make sure this is just your 1/2 inch flap showing. Put your glue on. Attach that to the left edge of the last page you just added. Okay, sorry about that. My camera did a little glitch and I'm just double checking, making sure my microphone's on and everything's a go. So we have one last page. So again, we flatten this down so that you just see the 1/2 inch attachment piece here. Put your glue on. And this last one goes on the right side of the last page that we put on. So we're going to line this up. The fold right along the edge of the page. I'm just lifting it up to make sure that I can see that I have lined it up properly. And I'm going to burnish that and then open it up and burnish inside so I can wipe off this extra glue. Okay, so we have the page set done. So it is can be like accordion type. Now I'm going to decide, do I want to put it in so it opens this away, which I probably will, So let's grab the book and go ahead and put it in. So this back piece that we started with will actually glue down into our cover, okay? And then, so this is going to close up this way. Now we want to make sure everybody is standing back up with their little 1/4 inch spaces. So you have them on the right and the left of your pages, like that, so that we can kind of see where things need to fit. So we need to make sure that, of course, it's not going over your hinge right here or out beyond here, and we want it to put it evenly top to bottom. So I'm just raising it up to look. So it is almost the exact size. So these pages are 8 1/4 tall, and the book is 8 1/2. So we're going to have a 1/4 inch top and bottom. So now this is the nervous part. We're just gluing this base right in here. So it really shouldn't be that hard. So I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to put it on all of this. Okay. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to line this up about 1/8 of an inch. What did I say? 1/4 of an inch from the bottom, 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch from the bottom, I think. And make sure it is straight over here. And I'm going to leave a little more on this side. So I've got this lined up about 1/8 of an inch from the left. And I lined it up straight. And then I'm going to rub that down with my hands so that nicely finishes this inside part here. And wipe up this glue. And then this will close over like this. So then this page opens like this. And then we can go this way. And then, of course, you can just accordion it out. So next, we need to decide if we want to put pockets, which I'm really thinking that I want pockets inside here. So I'm going to look at my scraps of cardstock because I want to try to make sure I'm utilizing what I have without cutting into a new sheet and see what we can do to make some pockets. So I'll be right back with that. Okay, from my scraps, I cut for 4 pockets, 4 pieces of the brown artisan cardstock, 3 1/4 tall and 8 7/8 wide. So I did have to trim down the length and the height a little bit. I wanted them all the same. And you're going to score a 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So put this in the long side at the top, which is your 8 7/8 side. Score it a 1/2 inch. Okay. Then you turn it so that your short side is here. This is your 3 1/4. Score it a 1/2 inch. And then turn once more so that your long side is at the top again, your 8 7/8, and score it a 1/2 inch. So then you have 1/2 inch on each end and across the bottom. And then you're going to take your scissors and you're just going to angle cut where those intersect. And then we're going to fold the score lines and burnish that. I've already done 3 of them. So here's the 4th one for you. Just burnish that. And now we have 4 pockets to put on our pages. Okay, so let's move this out of the way. Grab our book with the pages. And you can just pretty much put them wherever you want. I don't think I'm going to put one on the first one. I'm going to open it up and decide, you know, you can put it here on the left. You can put it here on the right. I'm thinking, I think I'm going to put it here on my left. So of course you take your glue and you put glue. And again, whoops, I don't mean to put that much on there, but I'm going to spread it out. Again, I'm just going to do all three at once. If you're wanting to use the Scotch tape, like I sometimes do, on the bottom flap to cover that seam, then go ahead and do that way. So these should fit right in. I'm going to kind of center them, and it makes it about 1/16 of an inch from each edge here. I've got so much glue here I need to wipe off. Right here, 1/16 of an inch from the cut edge, and then also 1/16 of an inch from the fold. You don't want to go over your fold. And I'm just burnishing it like that. Okay, so there's a pocket. Now I'm going to leave this one without a pocket, turn this one, and I think this pocket's going to go on this right side here. And so do the glue. Try to be a little less heavy-handed here. And as you can see, I'm not using a fine tip. I'm just going all out with it. Me and the fine tip, we don't like each other sometimes. So sometimes I rebel and I quit using it for a bit. So it's about 1/16 from the edge of that score line of that little fold. Oops, I don't have that one even right there. Make sure they're even on the bottom. Okay. And then burnish that in. Okay. So that's that side. So then when we flip this away, I think I'm going to put it here on this side. And like I said, it's very versatile. You can put your pocket pretty much where you, on which page you want. Just going to line it up on the bottom really nice. Oops. Nice and even. Kind of hard to see with this brown on the brown. Just making sure it's not over that little 1/4 inch piece there. Okay, just burnish that really good. Wipe off any glue you might have, and then open this back up. And so I'm going to put the pocket for this one right here. Okay. So now after this point, this is really the construction of this folio album. And we're ready to put our designer patterned paper in, which of course I'm using the paper by Country Craft Creations, the Gentleman Fleur. I'm making another, oops, I want this closer to this edge, Steampunk album. Just lining this up and getting glue everywhere, of course. So wipe that off. Great thing about art glitter glue, it does dry clear. So, and of course, we're covering things up with patterned paper, so that helps a lot with that. So now let's reshape our pages, our little 1/4 inch hinge. Just make sure they're standing squared up nicely. And there is our pages in our album. So now we're ready to do our pattern paper on the pages. We've already got this all done. The cover's already done, and the back and the front and the spine. So you just need to pick out yours. Now I had initially planned to make this where you wouldn't have to cut anything, but as always, is you're going to have to trim just a little bit because the finished size is not quite right. So you're going to take your ruler and you're going to measure and see what this is, 7 7/8. So depending on what border you want, and then this height is 8 1/4. So that's going to be 8 inch. So 7 7/8. You want to make it the same. So you can take a 1/4 inch off. So you're going to cut it at 7 5/8 wide. So you're going to trim off a little bit on your edges like that. So let me get my trimmer here. See how it looks. Hopefully I don't mess up a piece of this paper. Okay, give me some room. So what did I say? 7 7/8. And we just want to cut off a 1/4. Do some math. 7 7/8. Take a 1/4 off. That makes us 7 5/8. So I just look at it and decide which side I want to cut that off of. 7 5/8. It's an 1/8 past the 1/2 inch mark. So I'm just cutting a little bit off. Did I cut that out wrong? I did. You know what I'm going to do? This first one, let me see, maybe I did. No, I didn't. Or did I? I did. I am going to matte craft on this anyway, so that's what I wanted on that one. So I cut this one out wrong. So I'm going to grab some craft and I'm going to cut a matte for this first page. I'm not going to do it on all of them, just the first one, and then I'll use this. I won't waste it. Okay, so hang on. Okay, so for this first page, I've cut a craft matte out, and this one is 7 3/4 by 8 1/8. And so the pattern piece that is 7 5/8 by 8 is going to fit on top of that. So I'm going to glue these two together. I did ink the edges on this. So let's put this down right quick. I'm going to show you this one, and I'm going to show you something I did to my angle pocket. And then I'm going to leave it to you to pattern the rest of your album pages. So I'm going to center this pretty well. Now it's not going to have a very wide margin around most of it. Okay, so I'm just going to burnish that down. And then this is going to go on this front page here. So this is going to go right here. And make sure you remember you have a 1/4 inch space here you don't want to cover up. Okay, so now we put our glue on the back of this. Okay. And we've lined it up. It has a very narrow margin at the top and the bottom, just a little bit on the side. So we burnished that. So that is our first page with some craft around it to kind of go with the rest of the book. So this closes up like this. Okay, I like how that looks. Now, what did I do over here? It just bugged the heck out of me that I had the head cut off of the bicyclist. And I thought I had extra page of that image, but I must have used it in my little album. So I didn't have it. I was going to make a tag that matched up, and then you'd look at it and everything would be fine, right? So it bugged the heck out of me, so I cut out of another piece with the globe here, and then I used a gauge, one of the Tim Holtz gauge. I covered up the top part of the bicycle that was going the wrong direction, and then I put a gauge here. So there'll be other stuff added to this, but I'm happier now with that. So I did have to cut one piece down to get that, to fix that. But I knew I wouldn't be happy until I fixed that. And since I couldn't make the tag that I wanted to, I thought I would just go ahead and do that. So now the rest of these solid pages should be like this one. You're going to have more of a margin of the brown. So this is the 7 5/8 wide by the 8 tall. So you don't have to cut the height. Just cut the side and look at it and see what you're wanting to cut off. For your pockets, you don't need to cut the full width. So you're still going to want the 7 5/8 wide, but you really only need, so you can kind of utilize some of this, you know, for your pocket and stuff. You only need about maybe 5.5 inches or so, or 5, and you need less than you need on your pocket, maybe 2.5. So cut your 2.5, and then you can flip it over, and you can then get this top part up here. And so that's what I'm going to go ahead and do, is pattern all my pages and get that all done, and then I'll show you what patterns I used, and then I will be finishing up my album off camera with the decorating of the cover and stuff like that. So that's where we're at right now. I have all the pattern papers into the Folio album. Of course, we already did the front, the back, and the spine together, and the inside spine, and I've already shown you doing this. And then where I fixed it by adding another piece of paper here, and then adding these gauges, Tim Holtz gauges, to hide the upside down or sideways bicycle. So here we are. Now this is a little different. So we have the 1/4 inch gussets, so you do sometimes have to reshape them. Maybe if you wanted to strengthen them, you could put more, you know, a couple of strips of cardstock on those 1/4 inch. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that or not yet. So anyway, here on the front one, I put this one with the airplane plans and the gentleman. And then when you open it up, you have this pocket here. I used the same piece for the top and the bottom. So cut the bottom width height first, and then the rest will be for this. And this is cut down to fit here. So you do trim off a little bit off your 8 inch. So this looks like a whole piece, but it is a pocket. Then we have this one here. This is the first one I did, and I cut it too short. So I just pieced that one little piece back in and inked it a lot. It kind of looks funny. I may add a tuck spot thing there to kind of fix that. So that's one boo-boo that I did. Well, I cut it too short, and then I corrected the size for you in the cutting guide. This one's a solid piece of the back side, and here's another one where the image is cut in half for the pocket. Okay, and then of course it opens this way. We have the pocket here, so you can just see the patterns that I chose. The blimp solid here, and then another pocket. This is the B side with just the floral pieces and no images, and this is the pocket watch. So that is the pattern pages in this folio. So you see it fits nicely. You have room in there to add some thicker elements like the gears and things you might want to put. What I'm doing now is I have these scraps. I believe these are all scraps from the project. It's this, the right colors. I may have a few extras thrown in there from something else. These are the scraps that are left from the 8x8 collection. So what I'm doing now, and I'm not giving these measurements in the cutting guide because it's going to depend on your scraps, whatever you have left. Like this is a full 12 by 12. What I did is I just folded it in half. I don't use the scoreboard. I just line them up, fold them in half, and start making booklets and tags. This one's just a solid piece, so that'll work as a mat. This one I may make a tag out of. Like this was a 12 by 12. I folded it 8 and then folded the other one over, and so I have a little margin here. All of these I will add pattern paper. This one I just folded in half. So you can see, you take your scraps and make elements that will tuck inside your pockets. These are some more left over, some good size ones. So I'm going to do this off camera, finish up this project. Of course, I will be adding some of the Tim Holtz gauges, some of the snippets that I have. I may tuck in some of these fall cards. I'm not sure yet. I also want to use these, I think, in a little Jim Holtz box that I ordered from Country Craft Creations. So we'll see on that. I have my stash of gears, some keys, clocks, different things like that that I may use, perhaps some flowers. So I'm going to be finishing up my album Folio, decorating it, adding elements in. This is the part where I will end the tutorial and allow you the freedom to create on your own. Let me put this here so you don't see the glare. Create on your own. Have a great time doing that. I want to thank you so much for following me for this tutorial. Be sure to subscribe and click on the bell so you'll know when my next video is uploaded. Give me a thumbs up down below if you like the video, and check out countrycraftcreations.com for your scrapbooking supplies. I will link the product that I use that is still available in the store at the time that I'm filming this. I will link those down below so that you can check it out for yourself and grab you some stuff for some steampunk projects if you're interested in that. So anyway, thanks so much, guys. I'll be back later with another project, and I will also have a walkthrough of this. Probably, I'm thinking, a separate video. So look for that. If there is a separate video, it will be linked, a clickable link at the end of this video clip. Thanks. Bye-bye.